In the quiet, sun-drenched cul-de-sac of Willow Creek Estates, just outside Austin, Texas, life looked exactly like the American dream everyone chased. Manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the relentless Texas sun. Kids rode bikes in circles, their laughter echoing between two-story brick homes with three-car garages. Flagpoles waved the stars and stripes proudly. It was the kind of place where neighbors still waved at each other, where block parties happened every Labor Day, and where secrets were supposed to stay buried under layers of polite smiles and fresh-baked apple pies. Mark Thompson was 42, a regional sales manager for a mid-sized tech firm that sold cloud software to oil companies. 6'1", broad-shouldered from weekend gym sessions and coaching his son's Little League team, he still turned heads when he mowed the lawn shirtless. His wife, Sarah, was 39, a marketing consultant who worked mostly from home. She had that effortless Southern beauty, long chestnut hair, warm hazel eyes, and a smile that could disarm anyone. They had 2 kids, Ethan, 12, and Madison, 9. On paper, the Thompsons were the golden couple of Willow Creek. Across the street, in the house that had sat empty for 6 months, new neighbors moved in on a scorching July afternoon. The moving truck blocked the entire cul-de-sac. Mark was outside grilling burgers when he first saw her. Her name was Elena Ramirez, 37, with sun-kissed olive skin, dark wavy hair that fell to her mid-back, and curves that made the neighborhood wives whisper behind their curtains. Her husband, Javier, was a tall, quiet man with salt and pepper hair, always dressed in crisp button-downs even on weekends. He worked as a logistics executive for an international shipping firm. The first real conversation happened 3 days later. Sarah had baked her famous lemon bars and insisted Mark take them over as a welcome gift. Elena opened the door in yoga pants and a loose tank top, a light sheen of sweat on her collarbone from unpacking. "Oh my gosh, you didn't have to," she said, her voice carrying a soft Hispanic lilt mixed with perfect English. Her eyes lingered on Mark just a second longer than polite. "Neighborhood tradition," Mark replied, flashing his easy grin. "We're right across the street if you need anything." Javier appeared behind her, shaking Mark's hand firmly. "Appreciate it. We're still adjusting from Chicago. Texas heat is no joke." That night, over dinner, Sarah teased Mark. "Elena's gorgeous, huh? You were staring." Mark laughed it off. "Come on, babe. Just being neighborly." But something had already shifted in the air. The spouse's business trip started almost immediately. Javier traveled constantly. 2 weeks in Singapore, then 10 days in Rotterdam. Sarah had a big client pitch in New York that turned into a 3-week consulting gig. Mark and Elena found themselves alone in the neighborhood more often than not. It started innocently enough. Mark was in his backyard shed, really more of a finished man cave with a mini-fridge, old couch, and tools, when Elena knocked on the side gate one humid evening. "I'm sorry," she said, holding up a wrench. "Our garbage disposal is leaking, and Javier's gone till Friday. You any good with this?" Mark wiped his hands on a rag. "I can take a look." They walked across the street together. Inside the Ramirez house, boxes were still half unpacked. Elena's perfume, something warm and spicy, filled the kitchen. While Mark worked under the sink, she handed him tools, her bare leg brushing his arm more than once. "You're strong," she said softly. "Sarah's a lucky woman." Mark's pulse quickened. "Javier's a lucky man, too." The air thickened. When he finished, she offered him a cold beer. They sat on her back patio as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and pinks. "Sometimes I feel like Javier and I are ships passing in the night," Elena confessed, twirling her bottle. "All this travel, it gets lonely," Mark nodded. Sarah's been gone a lot lately, too. The kids keep me busy, but yeah. Their eyes met. Neither looked away. Over the next 10 days, the flirtation deepened. Morning coffee on Elena's porch when the kids were at school. Text messages that started as, "Did the disposal hold?" and turned into, "Thinking about our talk last night. You're easy to talk to." Late night walks around the block when the kids were in bed, their shoulders occasionally brushing. One Thursday night, a thunderstorm rolled through Austin. Power flickered. Elena texted, "Shed looks cozy. Mind if I hide from the storm over there?" Javier hates thunder. Mark's hands trembled as he replied. Doors open. She arrived soaked, wearing a thin white t-shirt and shorts. Lightning flashed outside the shed windows as they sat on the old couch, talking about everything and nothing. Then, without a word, Elena leaned in. Their first kiss was electric. Hesitant at first, then hungry. Mark's hands found her waist, pulling her closer. Clothes stayed on that night, but the line had been crossed. The meetups became routine. Every time their spouses were away, which was suspiciously often, Mark and Elena slipped into the backyard shed. It became their private world. He brought blankets, wine, even a small portable AC unit for the Texas heat. She brought passion and laughter that made him feel 25 again. The sex was intense, forbidden, and addictive. Elena was vocal, uninhibited, nothing like the comfortable rhythm he had with Sarah. She'd whisper things in Spanish that drove him wild. They'd laugh afterward, tangled in each other's arms, listening to the neighborhood sounds outside. Kids playing, dogs barking, lawnmowers humming, while their hearts raced from the risk. Mark started feeling guilty. He'd look at Sarah when she came home, notice how she still kissed him softly, how she helped Ethan with math homework, but the pull toward Elena was stronger. He rationalized it. It's just physical. No one's getting hurt. Elena seemed to feel the same. Javier and we've been drifting for years, she told him one afternoon, tracing patterns on his chest. This feels like living again. They got sloppy. A text almost seen by Sarah. A hickey barely covered. A pair of Elena's earrings left in the shed that Mark had to hide quickly. Meanwhile, the neighborhood watched. Mrs. Henderson, from 2 doors down, raised an eyebrow when she saw Elena leaving the Thompsons' backyard gate at dusk. But no one said anything. This was Willow Creek. Appearances mattered. 3 months in, the guilt started eating at Mark. He suggested they slow down. Elena agreed, then showed up at his door the next night in a sundress with nothing underneath, while Sarah was at a PTA meeting. One close call nearly ended it. Sarah came home a day early from a trip. Mark had just finished with Elena in the shed. He rushed home, showered, but Sarah noticed the faint scent of Elena's perfume on his shirt. "You smell like another woman," she joked, but her eyes searched his face. Mark laughed it off. "Must be the new laundry detergent." That night, he made love to Sarah with extra passion, part guilt, part relief. She responded eagerly, whispering how much she missed him. He almost confessed. Almost. Elena was having her own struggles. Javier surprised her with flowers one weekend home and took her out to their favorite steakhouse. She felt torn, but couldn't stop the affair. The testing had begun, though neither Mark nor Elena knew it yet. Unknown to Mark, Sarah and Javier had been in secret conversations for months before the Ramirezes even moved in. It started on a boring business trip in Chicago 6 months earlier. Sarah and Javier were both attending the same logistics conference. Drinks at the hotel bar led to confessions about feeling stuck in their marriages. One thing led to another. A single night in Javier's room. Instead of guilt, they felt alive. They decided to experiment, Not full swinging, but a controlled test. Each would allow the other to flirt, maybe more, with a new neighbor to see if it reignited their own marriages. They chose Willow Creek deliberately. The new neighbor's move was planned. The frequent business trips were coordinated. They installed hidden cameras in both backyards and the shed, motion-activated, cloud-uploaded. They shared access to each other's phones through a secret app. Every text, every meeting was monitored. Mark and Elena were the subjects of a deliberate psychological game. Sarah and Javier had fallen for each other hard during their affair. But they wanted to know if their spouses would actually cross the line, and how far. Labor Day arrived. The annual Willow Creek block party. Grills smoking, kids running with sparklers, adults drinking margaritas under string lights. The Thompsons and Ramirezes set up tables next to each other like the perfect neighbor couples. Mark was flipping burgers, stealing glances at Elena in her red sundress. She winked when no one was looking. Sarah looked radiant, laughing with the other moms. Javier manned the cooler, calm as ever. Then, at 8:47 p.m., as fireworks lit up the sky, Sarah stood on a makeshift stage with a microphone. "Hi, everyone. We have a special announcement tonight." Mark's stomach dropped. Elena froze. Sarah continued, her voice steady but trembling with excitement and anger. "Mark, honey, Elena, we know. We've known for months." The crowd went silent except for a few gasps. Javier stepped up beside her, pulling out his phone. He projected a slideshow onto a white sheet hung between trees, blurred but unmistakable images and video stills from the shed. Mark and Elena, kissing, undressing, tangled together. Whispers turned to murmurs. Phones came out. Mark's face burned crimson. Elena covered her mouth, tears welling. Sarah's voice cracked but grew stronger. "Javier and I started this as an experiment. We wanted to see if the spark was gone. Turns out, we fell in love with each other instead." She took Javier's hand. "We're done pretending." Elena stepped forward, voice shaking. "You used us?" Javier nodded. "We gave you every opportunity. You both chose this." Chaos erupted. Mrs. Henderson dropped her plate. Kids were ushered inside. Mark lunged toward Sarah, but neighbors held him back. Elena slapped Javier across the face. Shouts filled the air. "How could you? This is sick. Think of the children." Sarah looked directly at Mark, tears streaming. "I loved you, but you chose the shed over our marriage." The divorce proceedings were brutal and very public in their small suburb. Mark lost the house. Elena and Javier sold theirs within weeks and moved back to Chicago, separately. Mark and Elena tried to make something real out of the ashes, but the foundation was built on lies and manipulation. It didn't last. Sarah and Javier moved in together in a new condo downtown. Their experiment had succeeded beyond their wildest expectations, just not the way anyone planned. Mark sat alone in a small apartment 6 months later, watching the neighborhood from afar. The block party tradition continued without them. He thought about the shed, the laughter, the passion, and the devastating cost. Sometimes the American dream isn't what it seems. Sometimes the perfect neighbors are playing a game you never knew existed. What would you do if you found out your spouse was secretly testing you with an open marriage game? Would you have gone into that backyard shed? Or would you have walked away? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you love these raw, twist-filled husband and wife cheating stories with shocking endings, do me a huge favor right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. We're dropping new narrated betrayal tales every week, from secret affairs and revenge plots to marriages that completely explode. Give this video a thumbs up if you want more Texas-style suburban drama. and share it with someone who loves a good thrill. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. You're part of what makes this channel grow. I'll see you in the next story, where things get even darker. Until then, stay loyal, or at least stay careful. This has been your host on Echoes of Sister Tessa. Take care.